Phil, on the other side, Republicans are pretty opposed to this idea. So should companies be worried that they may have to disclose this?
This really only comes down to one person, and that is Mary Jo White. She is the decider on this vote if it ever comes to that point in the SEC. Republican commissioners, there's two. They're opposed to this at the SEC. The two Democratic commissioners that aren't Mary Jo White are all for this. Here's the issue, though, that companies need to pay attention to. At the moment, Mary Jo White has given no sign that she wants this on the SEC's agenda. She gave a speech talking about the danger of politicizing the SEC, something that this would likely do. So it's up to Mary Jo White whether or not she can kind of hold off the pressure that's going to keep coming from Democrats. And Betty, it's not just Democrats, it's open government advocates. More than 1 million people sent in letters during the comment period for this potential rule to the SEC. There's a lot of pressure there, but at this moment, Mary Jo White has given no sign that she's willing to change her mind and start to consider this rule.
And who makes disclosures now, Phil?
There's only about 2% of companies. Now, Betty, this all goes back actually to the 2010 Supreme Court system that really kind of unleashed a new wave of campaign finance. When you talk about super PACs, 501c4s, these unlimited spending groups, corporations as it currently stands don't have to disclose how much they can give. They can give unlimited amounts. They can also give unlimited amounts to groups like the Chamber of Commerce or trade groups. Those groups don't have to disclose. I think the issue right now that you hear from advocates for this is investors deserve to know what public companies are spending their money on, even if that's political campaigns or political causes. At this point, shareholder demands, shareholder ballot initiatives have all failed when it's come down to this. So people have really pointed to the SEC as the one group that can make this happen. Still, so long as Mary Jo White's on board, this is going nowhere, Betty.
And just quickly, Phil, shareholders, do they want this as well?
It's weird. You know, on the survey side, it looks like yes. But again, they've tried to bring this up as ballot initiatives for certain public companies. And so far, more than a dozen to 2 dozen have failed. So it doesn't look like it's got a groundswell, at least enough to move it on the company-by-company wide basis. And I think that's why you've seen the focus on the federal level, Betty. There's a recognition amongst advocates that you need this to be enforced from the SEC for this to actually work. Company by company is just too difficult to pull off at this point.